Good evening again, everyone. I think we'll get started. We'll let the participants keep spilling into the Zoom as they get connected to the session. Welcome again to the information session on the Mittal Institute India Fellowships. I'm Dr. Monica Setia. I head the India operations for the Mittal Institute out of New Delhi, and I'm joined by my colleagues here from the Institute, Shreya Majumdar, who's our programs manager, and Angarika Datta, who's our Outreach and Communications Manager. And we have with us two of our current fellows, Arun and Nobonita. Thank you so much, Arun and Nobonita, for joining us. And thanks so much, Shreya and Angarika, for all the support in putting this together. So we'll get started just in 2 minutes with the session. I just want to take a few minutes to introduce to you all the Mittal Institute, which is the short for the Lakshmi Mittal and Family South Asia Institute. The Mittal Institute connects Harvard and South Asia. We work with faculty members, students at Harvard and the in-region institution and experts to advance and deepen the understanding of critical issues that are facing and shaping South Asia today. Harvard University formally recognized South Asia Institute, which later became the Mittal Institute, as an academic institute in 2013, which signaled the university's long-standing commitment to the region and began an exciting new era for South Asian studies at Harvard. Mittal Institute now serves as the premier center on regional studies, cross-disciplinary research, and innovative programming that pertains to South Asia. Among the many goals of the Mittal Institute is sponsoring lectures and conferences both at Harvard and in the region to enhance the understanding about the challenges that face South Asia, to support interdisciplinary research through grants to both students and faculty at Harvard, building a community of stakeholders who are committed to advancing South Asian studies, and facilitating scholarly exchanges among Harvard faculty and students, and also the international South Asia specialists and academics. The India Fellowship, in long, the Mittal Institute India Fellowship, is one of these scholarly exchanges for which we have gathered today. You will hear more about the fellowships from the Mittal Institute staff and our current fellows shortly. But I encourage you all to remain curious through the session and ask questions. A postdoc, which Mittal Institute India Fellowship offers, is a very unique opportunity to realize your own research interest and execute them after a PhD program. I utilized that experience many years ago, not as a Mittal Institute fellow, but through another postdoc that I did in my field of study. But I thought it gave me a platform, one, to recover from a PhD program. I know many of you have had those experiences, but also to reconcile with your own self in understanding what your own research interests are, how you want to chalk your career further ahead, what kind of research you want to do, how do you want to plan ahead your career. Those are the different important questions that you need to answer for yourself while you're doing your research. Generally, they don't happen during your PhD program, but a postdoc or a fellowship like Mittal Institutes offers and gives you that opportunity. So I would really encourage you all to consider applying, to listen intently to the session today, come up with questions for both our fellows and for us as we sit along with you for this session. And we will remain here throughout the session, and I'll be here also to answer your questions. So take your writing pads or phones, wherever you take your notes. Jot down your questions, and then we'll be happy to answer them. So we will revisit those questions as we come to the end of our presentation, and we open it up for the fellows to respond and for the staff to respond to your questions. But welcome again to the session, and I look forward to interacting with you all today or even later when you have more questions, maybe as you start working on your fellowship applications. Thank you again for joining us. Over to you, Shreya, to take it forward.
Thank you, Monica. Um, Hi everyone, good evening. So I'm Shreya. Like Monica already introduced me, I look after programs at the Mittal Institute India office. I hope everyone can see my screen. Please drop a message in the chat box if you can't, but I hope you can. So what you see on your screen is the larger agenda that we will follow today for this particular information session. Monica has already very graciously introduced the institute and the rest of the team. I will take a few minutes to take you through, what we do a little bit in detail. Monica has already highlighted that, but we will still go through. And in case you have any questions, feel free to drop them, and I will talk to you largely about what the fellowship entails, what the application process looks like, what are the steps that you need to be mindful of when you're submitting your application. This will be followed by a quick interaction with both our fellows, Arun and Nobonita, who are here today. We'll hear from them. I have a few questions that I intend to throw at them, and if you have, please do drop them in the question box, and we'll make sure they get to answering them. Following that, of course, again, like Monica mentioned, we will throw the field open to your questions. We'll try and answer them at best, and in case you feel like we may have missed something because of the time, please do email us, and we'll respond to you at the earliest. So about the Mittal Institute, I think I'm going to keep this brief because Monica has already sort of defined, walked you all through this. We are, of course, the Lakshmi Mittal and Family South Asia Institute at Harvard University. We were formally recognized, as an academic institute in 2013. We were the sort of the foundation of our institute is to further in Harvard's engagement with South Asia. And very broadly, yes, we encourage researchers, students, members in region institutions through various kinds of interdisciplinary programs that help disseminate knowledge, help inform policy, shape policy, engage with issues that are concurrent, that have relevance to this region, and build capacity. And again, we serve as the premier center on regional studies, cross-disciplinary research, and innovative programming specific to this region. What are the countries we work with? On your screen, you see that we work with Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bhutan. We also work with diaspora populations that are part of these countries. So yeah, that should give you an idea of the reach and our of the reach of the institute in a way. About the Mittal Institute, a little more about it. We operate through twin offices. Of course, the team that you see here is part of the India Delhi office. And we also have a larger team in Cambridge that sits out of the university. We also have smaller centers in Pakistan and Nepal. In terms of our mission or a vision, or what is it that we do, we of course one facilitate scholarly exchanges among Harvard faculty and students, international South Asian specialists, visiting academics, and even public figures from this area from time to time. This particular fellowship is also part of such a scholarly exchange, as you will hear more. We also sponsor lectures and conferences, at Harvard and in the region, that include Harvard faculty, some eminent public figures, business leaders, government representatives, and we look at issues or conversations that have. We try to look at issues and conversations that have direct or indirect relevance to the challenges that this particular region faces. We also support Harvard students with grants for language studies, for research, and for internships in region. We also, bring knowledge from South Asia by supporting faculty with grants for research. And very broadly, we also, I think, a larger vision is to build a community of stakeholders that are committed to building, a culture of scholarship, both at Harvard and in region, focused on South Asia. Um, in case you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box, and we will take them at the end of the session. Now I'm going to take you through some of the fellowships that the Mittal Institute offers. So each year we welcome scholars from across the region, as well as scholars that are working on South Asia to the Harvard campus, and we encourage them to carry out their research and with some of the leading academics in their particular interest areas. We also have a variety of opportunities that we offer to scholars in region, so that they can access Harvard's resources and faculty while remaining in the region. So some of the Cambridge-based fellowships that you see on your screen right now are the Raghunathan Fellowship, the Bajaj Fellowship, the Babar Ali Fellowship. This is specific to Pakistan. The Visiting Artist Fellowship, which is a creative arts fellowship, and of course, we've launched the Climate Fellowship last year. Within the region, we offer two fellowships. One is, of course, the Mittal Institute India Fellowship, and we'll get into more details about that today. And there's, of course, the Pakistan in Region Fellowship. At this stage, it would be pertinent for me to mention, please do look at our social media channels. We have, we'll be sharing those at the end of the session. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, and our website is always updated. So please feel free to go through our website and check out all of these opportunities. So about the India Fellowship. So most of you by now would know that the Mittal Institute India Fellowship is basically, a fellowship that that allows for postdoctoral scholars to conduct independent research in India. Annually, we host two postdoctoral scholars in the India office in New Delhi. For this year, the fellowship will begin on January 2026, and which is why our processes have started. These are detailed, and these processes take time. So, we're starting now, and by January, we will have two new fellows on board. It is expected that fellows, since this is an in-region fellowship, we expect that the fellows are based out of Delhi for the duration of the fellowship, which is 1 year. And we also hope that whoever, people who join us have a commitment to a full-time dedication to further the research that they have already been doing. And that is how the opportunity has been shaped. In terms of, eligibility, we encourage applicants from any discipline to apply. We also will point out that, the topics that come in or the research work that is being done should advance, facilitate, and promote programs in and for the public benefit of India. Eligible fields include diverse areas and are not limited to what you see on your screen. You can see that we're talking science and medicine, climate, philosophy, law, religion, language, literature. But please don't feel limited. These are just indicative, thematic areas. We consider other areas as well. So, as long as there is merit in the proposal, and it does have a public benefit sort of point of view. Research that you do can focus either on India, or you can also consider cross-country topics that are interconnected with India and that have that advance critical scholarship. So this is broadly the foundation of this fellowship. And again, questions, please feel free to drop them. We're now going to talk about eligibility for this year. So for this year, we are, recent postdoctoral scholars who have completed their PhD between March 1, 2020 and March 31, 2025 are eligible to apply for this particular fellowship. Because this is an in-region fellowship, and we are trying to, like I mentioned previously, we hope to advance scholarship in this region within India. We do prioritize applicants who have not had opportunities in the past to access the Harvard University's resources, and who have primarily been educated at institutions in India. I'm going to mention here that this is a priority. This is not a requirement. So even if you are somebody who may have been educated in an institution outside India, please do feel free to make an application, and you can go through the due process. What are the benefits of the fellowship? So we offer a monthly stipend of INR 1 lakh. This amount will cover your living costs in Delhi any medical allowances, any books or research materials that you intend to, purchase or you might want to purchase for the duration of your fellowship. We also offer an economy travel expense or a round-trip transportation from the selected fellow's hometown, anywhere in India, to New Delhi at the time of joining and at the end of the fellowship. This is something that is only applicable to candidates that are residing outside New Delhi. If you're within New Delhi, this particular clause is not applicable to you. We also offer, interaction with a Harvard faculty member. In fact, mentoring, remote mentoring by a Harvard faculty member in your area of research, and the research that you produce will be widely disseminated for public benefit in India. And of course, like we mentioned, the Mittal Institute does sponsor lectures and conferences. So, we have a very active events calendar. If you can go to our website, you'll see the kind, you'll have a fair understanding of the kind of events that we do, are continuing to do, and you get a first-hand participation experience in these events, and meeting and networking with Harvard faculty, other people working in maybe in the same research spaces as you, and just also Delhi's intellectual and academic crowd you have at your disposal. So this is something that that's also on the table. I'm now going to take you through, very briefly through the actual application process. Uh, this year onwards, Harvard has moved to a new, software, a new platform through which all applications have to be submitted. What you see on your screen, this is the Aries platform. So how do you go about this? When you click on the link that you have in the application announcement, this is where you will arrive at, and these are some of the details that you will fill, and you will create an account, and you will get your confirmation email on the email that you may have chosen to create an account. But this is a screenshot of what your creating an account page will look like. Once you filled out the application, once you created the account, you will arrive at this page. If you see, this is the application link for the Mittal Institute India Fellowship 2026. This is what it will look like. And when you arrive here, you see the apply for this job sort of box there, and you can click on it, and then you will be directed to start your application. When you start your application, this is again the page that you will arrive at, and what you see on the screen are some of the sections that you will have to continue to answer. So your personal information will basically have your name, your institution, your address, your contact details, and your educational background. Your references will include details of the two references that you are going to submit for your application, and how do you know them, what their names are, which institute, all of that information you can fill in. The third section are the supplemental questions, basically uploading your statement of research, your CV, and other important documents, and suggesting mentors that you think would serve would be good options for your particular research proposal. So here I'm going to mention that we do not sort of identify a mentor for you, which is why in the supplementary questions section we ask you to suggest 2 to 3 Harvard faculty members that you think fit best, and you will gain from in terms of a mentorship, a mentee-mentor relationship. So please, here I will encourage that you really look through Harvard. Of course, it's a huge faculty database, but please look through and read up on relevant faculty that you think you will best benefit from. So this is where we'd like you to mention their names. Then the document needed to apply, I will get to this in the next slide, and then some voluntary declarations about protected veteran status, self-identification of disability, and demographics. Please do continue to save the work that you do. You can always, you do not have to fill this in one go. You can always save your bits and come back and continue to update your application within the deadline. And lastly, please do always check for errors in submit. Very often we get emails from candidates telling us that they forgot to attach this particular document, and they do that. Please note that as the Mittal Institute team, we do not have access to update your documents in Aries. So I will urge that you please check thoroughly before you finally submit your application. Now, what should your the document section that you need to update, what should it contain? It should contain your research proposal. Your research proposal should include a project title, an abstract, research questions, methodology, and proposed outcome. Please use 1-inch margins and Times Roman 12-point font, 2 to 3 pages, double spaced. Your document section should also contain your most up-to-date CV. It should also contain a writing sample. This sample could be, a chapter of your dissertation, of your thesis, any paper that you may have published or have written, any news article that you may have, written, a policy brief memo, anything that basically demonstrates to us your writing skills, and a scan of your PhD diploma. Please note that transcripts and proof of any other educational degree is not required. Many a times we've seen cases where people upload their 10th, 12th college graduation mark sheets. These are not required. We only need a scan of your PhD diploma, nothing else. In terms of recommendations, we will need 2 letters of recommendations, and both these letters have to be uploaded directly onto Aries. So the minute you have submitted your application, in the reference section, when you fill in the details of both your referees, once you have submitted your application, Aries will automatically send an email to the email IDs that you would have put in on your application, asking for a recommendation on your behalf. In case, and these recommendation letters will have to be uploaded to Aries again within the deadline of the application. In case, sometimes these are platforms, sometimes there's, anything can happen. In case your referees have not received an email or have not had the time, to be able to upload it on Aries or are facing any issues, please ask them to send their reference letters to us via email. Our email ID is the Mittal. You can go to our website. It is the Mittal Institute Delhi at fas.harvard.edu. It is there on the application announcement. Please ask them to write to us and send us their reference letters indicating the name of the candidate that they are referring in the subject line. In terms of who your referees should be, we encourage that one of the letters should come from an academic source familiar with your scholarly work. These could be your research guides or faculty that have taught you. In case you've had professional working experience, the second letter, we are happy to consider any professional references that you may have. What is the expectation from the fellows here? So after once we have the fellows join us, we expect that you work on, continue to advance the research that you have through, either paper presentations or publications. And towards the end of the duration of your fellowship, it is expected that you will organize a seminar or a workshop, which is completely designed by you and supported by the Mittal Institute. And you can present the work that you've done over the year in consultation, of course, with your mentor, and present it to a larger audience. This could be a virtual interaction. This could be an in-person session. Anything works. Again, we expect that you actively participate in the events that the Mittal Institute India office organizes throughout the year. You are also expected to carry out field work within the fellowship period, if applicable. Like we mentioned, we expect you to be in Delhi and be stationed out of the New Delhi office while for the duration of your fellowship. And towards the end of your fellowship, we will ask you to submit a final activity report, which will detail the work that you have done over the year. And you can write it, and it also serves as a recommendation for anything else that you may choose to do after the fellowship. Once. All right. So that's about Mittal Institute and the fellowship. I hope there are questions. I haven't seen the chat box, but yeah, so we'll get to those questions quickly. I'm now going to invite Arun and Nobonita to sort of maybe come on and show us their faces again, and also briefly introduce themselves. On the screen, you see a little bit about who they are and what they do. But of course, I'd invite um, them to come briefly introduce themselves, and then I have a few questions that I intend to throw at them. So yeah, Arun, Nobonita, whoever wants to go first.
Hello everyone. I'm Nobonita and I am currently working in environmental humanities and particularly I'm focusing on water policy, hydropolitics, post-colonial eco-political theory, and particularly all of this through the lens of graphic literature, particularly graphic novel from India. So that's about me. Arun, to you.
Thank you, Navitna. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Monica, for introducing us. My name is P. Arun. Am I audible? Yes. My name is P. Arun. I am broadly work on as an interdisciplinary researcher, intersection between history, politics, law, and technology. My work largely focuses on surveillance studies, focusing on history of colonial surveillance. I majorly focus on telegraph and postal surveillance in late colonial India.
Great. Thanks, Arun. Thanks, Nobonita. Thanks for that brief introduction. So my first question to you is, how did you hear about us? How did you hear about the fellowship, and what was your motivation behind making an application for this particular fellowship? Arun, Nobonita, whoever wants to go first. Maybe Arun, since you're already on mute, I'll go with you, and Nobonita can come in later.
Like everyone, I also did got to know about this fellowship through social media post, and one of the primary motivation to be part of this fellowship is to further pursue my research on telegraph and postal surveillance in late colonial India, since there were many things which were under research and need to be explored. So that was one of the idea and wanted to explore more through my archival research. Yeah.
Thanks, Arun. Nobonita.
So I came to know about it from one of my colleagues. He sent it to me. And once I got it, I went through the website and the research gap that I had already identified during my PhD time that I wanted to pursue as a postdoc. So I was looking for postdocs as well. And when I went to the website, I was impressed with the fact that uh, in the field of literature, in the institute is providing a postdoc fellowship. So that motivated me to apply to here, and here I am.
Great. Sorry. Great. Thank you. So my second question to you is, both of you have joined us in January this year. We're sitting in June. It's been a good 5 months. What has been your general experience with the fellowship, with the institute? What does take us through what a typical day or a week looks like for both of you, because both of you have very different research interests and so what does a typical day or a week look like for you? You're also, writing your papers, attending conversations, talks, presenting at places. So how are you managing your time? Both of you are also not from Delhi, so how has that experience been? Just take us through that.
Yeah. So far I had a wonderful experience since I have joined Mittal Institute. Uh, I have met many people and discussed about my research work, many faculty, many researchers. With regard to my daily routine, it mostly include going through my archival records and working on my draft, or visiting archives, going through the institutions. With regard to the time, if you see how I'm able to, I think nobody have an answer as a researchers. Everybody figure out by themselves. But for me, I prioritize and limit my daily tasks to certain aspects which I want to focus and try to accomplish what I set my goal. Through this, I try to manage my time. Yeah.
And as for my experience up to now, it's been phenomenal. So the moment we came into this, we joined this fellowship, there was a conference where we get to meet so many people, and also I get to meet my mentor there, Doris, to whom I am working with, with whom I am working at Harvard, and how I plan my whole day is I plan what to do. The whole day I can sit here and devote my whole time to research. So that's the best thing that happened till now.
Great, thank you. And a final question for me is, you're sort of halfway through, you're inching the halfway mark in your fellowship. So, in terms of, opportunities of collaboration or networking, have you, and also sort of leveraging the academic flavor that a city like Delhi offers? Do you have any networking? Have you been able to engage in any networking or collaborative opportunities? And if yes, if no, where do you think there's a struggle, or what do you think is working, is not working, and how have these experiences added value or and have sort of enriched your larger academic or professional interest areas?
Um, So with this fellowship, I met my supervisor, Professor Sugata Bose, after going to Kolkata in the first month of my fellowship, and I was really glad I was able to discuss with him on Subhash Chandra Bose correspondence and gather a lot of archival material on how his correspondence were constantly being monitored by the British government. Also, secondly, thanks to fellowship, I met Dr. Robert Rahman Raman, who was a previous fellow of the same thing. We discussed our overlapping research themes, and I was I'm looking forward to collaborate with our research, which we are discussing. And in terms of collaboration, I also presented my paper in a workshop held in Bangalore, which was organized by Max Planck Institute and National Law School, India University, Bangalore. I was fortunate to meet Professor Radhika Singha, Mitra Sharafi, Professor Ginny Lokniti, who shared some insightful comments and thoughtful. They were very thoughtful on my work, and uh, in short, I will say my experience was really fruitful, and undoubtedly it really enriched my academic and professional interest. Yeah.
So this fellowship has given me that push that I was lacking in collaborating. So the moment I joined here, for the first time I interviewed an author, and with collaboration of my guy mentor here, we have already communicated a research paper. And also, now being in Delhi has been very phenomenal in the sense you can visit any library, which is, and because this office is situated in a very central place, so you can go to any libraries, any colleges of Delhi University. So I have been with Arun to one college, Zakir Hussain College, and I get to meet people I would have never met if not for this fellowship.
Thanks, guys. That really makes us feel very nice about what we do here. But yeah, just a last quick question. I'm also mindful of the time. Yeah, so if you had to share your 2 cents about, the fellowship and the application process for everybody who's hearing us, in case of, what a research proposal should have, shouldn't have, what would be those 2 cents for everybody who's looking to apply?
I will say broadly that all the potential applicants should just focus on what their core interests are about, and highlight how they are going to accomplish it and what are the resources they are going to look for that, and within that the research fellow time period, how they are going to accomplish that. That is what I think the application requires, and this will be enough for the potential applicants. Yeah.
So, if you are applying for this fellowship, just be mindful of the time that has been given, like 1 year. So, I believe that you have already found the research gap while doing your PhD. You cannot, cannot start something absolutely new. So, try to find the research gap in your PhD and then continue forward it in this fellowship. So, it will help you to manage your time, and it will help you to to look for the resources that you are looking for. And Harvard's library gives you that phenomenal platform where you can find any article or anything. So just be mindful of that. If you are planning for a field work, just be mindful that you have to plan it within the very beginning, 1 to 1.5 months. So just be mindful so that you can, put everything. You can make a report, and then you can, at the end of the year, you have to also do the seminar where you have to present whatever your findings are. So divide your time in your proposal.
Great, thanks, guys. I hope everyone who's listening has, has taken this into account. I am now going to. I see that we have quite a few questions that are coming in, so maybe this would be a good time to, take those forward. And I will maybe request Monica to sort of come in and help us address some of those questions and, do this. All right, so let's see. Okay. We have a question from an anonymous attendee. If our research is taking places in Indian cities other than New Delhi, would it be possible instead to travel to New Delhi as required by the program and to reside and travel from the research site cities? Monica, would you want to answer that, or? Um, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry, I was in mute, just I realized. So I think probably what you mean to ask is that can you be residing outside New Delhi because your research site is other cities? That's not something which we support as part of the fellowship, like Shreya had elaborated in her slides when she was talking about the fellowship requirements. You need to reside in Delhi, and if you have fieldwork in other sites, you can visit your those sites, but you are required to primarily make Delhi as your base location, and then from there go to these other places where you have maybe a data collection going on, or another way you're collecting your data.
Great, thank you. Next question from Preetha Chakrabarti. She says, "Hi, can I share a co-authored paper where I am the first author?" Monica, I will let you.
Sure. I think you mean in terms of the sample for the writing and the research sample. Prefer if something which is first author, but if you do not have, well, it is the first author paper, so definitely yes. So I don't know where is the concern. If you're concerned that it has to be a single author paper, not absolutely not. It can be a co-authored paper, preferably where you're the first author. So what you have mentioned actually fits well into our criteria. So please go ahead and you can add that particular sample in your application. It's not required that you have a single authored sample that you add to the application.
Parul wants to know where we can find a list of faculty members who we can work with, and can we work with anyone at Harvard University? Parul, you can just look up Harvard University, and within the university, there are multiple schools. Please ensure that you are, each school has a very exhaustive list of faculty that is available. You can read their bios, you can read their works, and you can, that will help you best identify a faculty mentor for your research area, for your thematic area. So yes, you are welcome to suggest to us who you think fits best for your particular proposal, and feel free to look up the Harvard University website. And yeah, that's that. Anonymous attendee, how many steps are involved in the selection process? Does it also include an interview? Monica, do you want to take this, or do you want me to? I'm happy to take
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So anonymous attendee, once you've submitted your applications, there is a review process that sort of takes place. We basically there will be a match with the eligibility criteria. After that, there is a thorough review process that takes place. There are 2 rounds of reviews that are done for the shortlisted proposals. We are looking at, academic merit. We're looking at, public benefit. We're looking at advancing research within the region. And after that, the shortlisted proposals then are invited for a final round of interview that takes place with, senior leadership of the Mittal Institute and other relevant faculty. And that is when, after that is when a final decision is made. This entire process takes about, 2 to 3, sometimes 4 months as well, because of the volume of the applications that we receive. So yes, there is going to be an interview if one is shortlisted. Tiagraj wants to know what is the deciding factor that the institute sees among application in terms of shortlisting select few from a large pool of applicants. How does an application stand out as such? Monica, I will let you answer this.
Sure. So Shreya just actually elicited some of the criteria that we look at when or the reviewers look at rather when they are reviewing the application. So those criteria, if an application has a best fit match with all those criteria, then that application stand out. But look at, the core aspects which Shreya just mentioned, which is, about the public benefit, how good is the research proposal, the impact of the research which is proposed, also your own expertise. How does it fit into what you have proposed in your research for the fellowship? And then finally, your research expertise, which is visible in your publication track record, or the conference presentations or the grant proposals that you may have written, your PhD research, how strongly you have written up your thesis. So all those aspects. So it's a combined scale which gets into the selection process. And yes, that is why the process is very rigorous. Like what Shreya was just mentioning, there are steps involved, and then we reach to the top of the pyramid and then select the top 2 candidates from the whole pool. So you have to make yourself stand out on each of those aspects, which are the criteria for the selection of the applicants. And interview matters, but only a few people reach the interview. So all the components of your application matters, your profile, your proposal, your recommendation letters for sure. Keep everything, top notch, and then you'll expect yourself to be there.
Thanks. Great, Monica. Aditi, hi Aditi. I see that you're a PhD scholar from IIT Roorkee, so also Nobonita's host institution. So I don't know, but you have 4 questions. So yeah, okay. So her first question is, how many research papers are required to be considered for the fellowship? If there is any number that looks good on the CV to be considered. Monica, do we want to?
Um, Well, there is, like there is no such thing as a number. And I'll let Nobinita and Arun also comment on it because they both got selected, went through the whole process and they got selected. I'll share my perspective. It's not about you having 10 different publications. It's about having high impact publications, be it one, be it two or more. But the numbers, more than number, it's the quality that matters, not as much the quantity. So keep that in your mind. So there's no such number that we can give you, which is, there's nobody who's enumerating the number of publications and then selecting a candidate through the review process. That's never a criteria. If you talk about, I'm looking at continuity, all your questions, because you've said like 4 in a row. One, that if you have been previously for a fellowship at Harvard, for a different kind of fellowship, then will you be considered? Like Shreya mentioned initially, our preference, and it's also very clearly mentioned in the eligibility criteria, the preference is given to candidates who do not have a prior experience in the US or at Harvard. Uh, so that's what we will reiterate in response to your question. Are we required to upload letters of invitation from our potential mentor at Harvard? Oh no, that's not what we meant. If you have already worked with someone at Harvard and that person is your referee or your recommender, then yes. But we are not talking here about you reaching out to a potential mentor at Harvard and asking them to upload the letter, not at all. Here we're talking about people with whom you have worked. It could be your PhD advisor, it's a senior professor with whom you have worked as a co-author. So those are the people who know you really well already, with whom you have worked on your research, PhD or otherwise, master's maybe, during a master's program, or even if you're doing currently another postdoc, then you ask those people to become your recommenders and they write a letter for you, and those letters are submitted with your applications. You're not supposed to reach out to these potential Harvard mentors. You're only supposed to mention their names in the application. Okay, you're not supposed to reach out to those potential Harvard mentors, but going by your combining the number 2 and number 3 question of yours, where you have said you've probably already had a Harvard experience. I think you probably mean a mentor at Harvard with whom you already worked. If that's the case and you want to apply, then yes, that would be the person. But overarchingly, we're not expecting you to even reach out or write to any potential mentor at Harvard. Not at all. Just mention their names in the application. Your mentors or your recommenders are the people with whom you've already been working in India as part of your PhD work or otherwise. The last question, should we contact the potential mentors seeking their guidance before applying for the fellowship? So I've already answered the question. Not really. We want you to just mention their names. Once you have been selected, that process will be initiated and we'll speak to you more about how to connect with the mentors, and that's a different ballgame. Okay, not as part of your application process. We're supposed to do that. I'll let Nobinita or Arun, do you want to add any points, or even Shreya, like anything to all the 4 responses that I've given?
Uh, yeah, I will just add a
Aditi,
thing.
I just want to say that more than the number of research papers, just focus on the relevance. How
Yes.
many papers are relevant to the either the proposal that you are proposing or the PhD work you are doing. So that would matter more than the numbers.
Yes. I
Okay.
will just add that I agree with what Monica and Nobinita has said. But apart from that, it's not the number of the list of publication the CV will be gone through, but the 10-page writing sample, uh, uh, not more than that, just 10-page writing sample is required. that will be evaluated to look through your the academic paper. But it's not the number of publication you should put in your CV. That's not the criteria.
Great, thank you both. I am going to take the next two questions because they're sort of related. So somebody is asking if selected, are the fellows expected to be in office daily or work timings flexible? Like I mentioned in the presentation, we expect you to come into office, but it is, we are not going to, I mean, you're also here for a research for a year. We would like for you to come in. If you want to come in 5 days a week, 6 days a week, we're open. Please come. I think Arun and Nobonita do come in every day. So it's up to them. We do not sort of, put a limit on that. Work timings, yeah, well, we're open from 8:30, 9 a.m. in the morning. So, till the evening normal work timing. So you can feel free to work within that time frame or later, up to you. So that is how that bit usually works.
Shreya, I just want to add one bit
Sure.
that yes, there is, they can come in 5 days or 6 days, but since you're expected to be in Delhi, we expect you to be in the office for 3 days a week generally, unless you are on your field visit, going for a conference, a presentation. But the expectation for you to be in the office for 3 days will be there, sort of, with some flexibility, like I said there, when you have other research-related works that you are pursuing.
So another person is saying that they have submitted their PhD thesis in January this year and are waiting for the reviewers' comments. One report has already come and the other will soon arrive. Can you still apply? I think the eligibility criteria is relatively clear in that regard. If you have completed your PhD between March 1, 2020 and March 31st, 2025, when I say completed PhD, I mean you have a scan of your degree available with you. You are eligible to apply for this particular fellowship. Anything outside of those timelines, unfortunately, we will not be in a position to consider. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. What is the relative weightage to research proposal, past publications, and recommendations in the final section? Monica, I'll
Sure.
add.
So I think we've spoken about this aspect already quite a bit in the past few responses, that it's never one or the other. There's no weightage. It's always a holistic review. So every piece matters, and putting together the pieces of the puzzle is how a candidate is selected. So I would say for you as an applicant, give your best to each piece, get the best research proposal out, share your best past relevant publications like Nobonita mentioned, get the best recommenders, urge them to write good recommendations for you, and all pieces come together to in the selection process to bring you to the finalist stage. So do that.
Another individual wants to know if we suggest the proposed topics to be something straight away as something that is a part of their PhD topic, or maybe just something in the larger area of their PhD topic with some similarities. Again, I will, Monica, I mean,
I'll let, yeah.
sure.
So, think of it from a perspective of you being an applicant who has worked, say, for 4 or 5 years on a research topic during your PhD, and maybe you worked on something similar during your master's. MPhil has been phased out, but for somebody who was in the MPhil stage earlier and they did that, you have built up your expertise in that area. And when you share your CV and when you write the research proposal, when we look at your publications, the reviewer look at your publication, they are looking at you as an expert in that area in which you have done most of your research, right? If you start to propose a brand new area, which I think one of the points probably Nobonita also mentioned, if you start to propose a brand new area, you will not have any expertise to showcase in that particular area, right? So for you to come up with a new research area for a fellowship, be it the Mittal Institute India Fellowship or any other fellowship you're applying for, that will come out as naive. You will have to show your strength because you have lot many competitors. We've already talked about the selection criteria, so you know what are the criteria that will be used. So a strong application can only come through if you showcase your past strength. If you come up with a new area, you will not be able to show a strength there, right? So think from that perspective, and in that overarching framework, now decide what would be the best research proposal you can write, keeping in context your PhD work, your other past work, where your publications are, which will showcase you as one of the best candidates.
Moving on, Aditi, yes, there is a page limit. If you have, I would encourage you to read the announcement thoroughly. Go to our website. All of this information is very clearly enlisted there. But for your benefit, I will mention that, which was also on one of the slides, that yes, there is a page limit. 2 to 3 pages, double spaced, Times New Roman, font 12, and 1-inch margins. These are very clearly outlined in the announcement. So yes, sorry, my screen keeps moving. Yes. Moving on, somebody wants to know how fieldwork is financed. They intend to do fieldwork in Uttarakhand and how the IRB thing works, getting approval and all. Monica, I think this is your domain.
Sure. Uh, so, like Shreya had mentioned, we only give a one lump sum stipend, which is the fixed amount. We do not provide any additional financial support for fieldwork. So you have to be doing your accounts really well. Within that limited amount that you have available, you have to manage your housing, your food, your books, your travel, your fieldwork. Uh, we will only give you that lump sum amount. Okay, so you can decide beforehand within that amount how can you do your field work. If it's Uttarakhand, can your travel and your stay there and whatever you want to spend, in terms of collecting your data, can it be managed within that amount? So it's up to you. You have to maybe become a good accountant and smartly manage your finances there. But we only provide that limited amount. In terms of IRB, I think most of you sitting in the room know the standard guidelines for IRB, that if it is human subjects, you need to have an approval. You work closely with your mentor on your research proposals. So once you are selected, like I said, there is another process that we follow to get your mentors assigned from within the list that you have proposed in your applications. And once you have finalized your mentor, the mentor and mentee have been introduced, you discuss your proposals with your mentor. And at that stage, you can discuss with them the IRB component, and it can be worked through the Harvard system if you have any human subjects involved in your proposal. Okay, so that's how everybody should think about the IRB pieces beforehand. Very important if you have the human subjects involved in your research, but they can be talked through with your mentors and then facilitated from within the Harvard systems.
Right. I think I'm going to take the next 2-3 questions because I think these are questions that we may have already addressed. Tyagaraja, what are the stages of selection process? Application shortlist followed by an interview. I think I already answered that. Yes, there is going to be rigorous 2 rounds of reviews once we have received applications, followed by shortlists for those who are eligible for who make the cut basically for an interview. Amrita, 3-page limit for the proposal inclusive of bibliography? No, the 3-page limit of the proposal should include your research title, abstract, methodology, and proposed outcome. You are feel free to add your bibliography outside of those 3 pages. Deepika, I think what you're trying to say is that you have a project on gender and performance, and should you reach out to them directly and include their names in the application? Is there a link where you can search for relevant? I think Monica has already very clearly articulated that we do not encourage that you reach out to Harvard faculty directly. Please, what we do encourage is that you do a thorough research. The Harvard University has a very, if you just type Harvard University in Google, you should be able to access their different schools and websites. It's very simple, really, and please make sure that there is thematic relevance. Like I said, what we will encourage is that you ensure that the faculty that you are proposing in your application has relevance, and because you stand to gain the most from that interaction. So please make sure that you find people who are the best fits for your for your research proposal.
Shreya, I just want to step in because I think there are a
Sure.
few people who have that very similar question about how to find that potential mentor whom they can list, in their applications from the Harvard side. So, think of it from the perspective of when you review your literature. I'm sure you read a lot of papers, right? That's the first step to initiating any research, that you look at the current body of knowledge that exists in your research field, research area. I'm sure that you look at the authors, and those authors are always within, working within an institution setup, right? So just go back and look at your author lists that you have cited, that you have looked at, that you have read, either books or journal articles or reports. And I'm sure there are a bunch of them, who are based at Harvard. So think of it from that perspective, that where are your authors and which of those authors are at Harvard, because those are the people who are working in your research area. And then those are your potential mentors if you're proposing your research in that particular area. The second, like Shreya had mentioned, Harvard has a huge website. Within Harvard, there are many schools. Go into the particular divisions, departments, which are connected. So it's not that gender, you'll find a department for gender, right? Gender, as you know, is a very interdisciplinary field. So whatever area you're searching, you may have to go to the websites of the 2 or 3 different schools, because these faculty might be in one discipline or the other, right? So go and explore. Exploration is always helpful. That gives you actually also ideas. So go and explore these websites, go to the schools, go to those departments, look at the faculty, look at their profiles, and then see, do they match up in their, I would also emphasize, look mostly at their last 5 to 7 years of research. They may have done something 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, 40 years ago. These are very senior researchers, and they may have phased out of those research areas. So look at the current body of research that they're working on. Current means not just 1 or 2 years, because research is a long process, as you know. So 5 or 7 or last 8 years, and then see if it connects well with what you are proposing. And then those could be your potential. But don't propose one mentor. We always emphasize post 2 or 3 or 4, not 10. That 10 will be a very long list, but 3 to 4 mentors who have a very close connect with your research area. So that's the process you should follow to identify the right mentors for yourself.
Great. I think the next 2 questions are around literary work. So maybe I will let Nobonita and Monica get to that. So somebody wants to know, in case of literary works, is fieldwork or data collection important? And it seems I assume they're the same people, that they're a literature scholar, and they'd like to know if that entails field work in addition to the selected literary works. I think, Nobonita, you may want to take that.
So, whether you want to take fieldwork as along with your selected literary works, it absolutely depends on what your research objective is. So, what will be your end result? What do you want to find? It will absolutely dependent. The methodology will depend on the objective. So, once you decide your objective, then think, do you require fieldwork to justify your final objective? If yes, then you can include it. And if no, then you can simply go by literary works.
Great, thank you, Nobonita. Moving on, Abhishank Mishra. Hello, Shreya and Monica. Wonderful work being done by the Mittal Institute. I am working on emerging technologies, particularly autonomous weapons. Of course, the research doesn't have public relevance, but does have military policy relevance. Would this be the right fellowship to apply for a researcher coming from an IR and potentially science and technology studies background? Monica, I think this is your.
Sure, sure, sure. So I don't think there is Abhishank, you have seen, we are not restricted in our fields of study. Our fields of study are very expansive. Shreya has already elaborated early on that it has to be research which is of relevance and for public good of for India, right? So if that's the case, if we are open to it, of course, your research seems a little sensitive, but we have no restrictions when it comes to something which is purely a research, which is a high impact and not getting into something which is adding to the body of knowledge, right? One thing you have to be very clear about is it's a remote fellowship. It should not be something that requires lab related work. If it is something that you're looking at in terms of a laboratory research, then this fellowship cannot facilitate it because we don't have labs in India. This is remote fellowship where the Harvard faculty sits on campus and the fellow sits in India, in New Delhi. So think of it in those terms. If it has policy relevance, can be done remotely. Absolutely, yes.
Right. Moving on, Tyagraj, I think a final question possible for an applicant with a PhD received after March 31, 2025. I think we've addressed this. No, we are very clear on the eligibility criteria. March 1st, 2020, March 31st, 2025. You should have your PhD degree within this timeline. Anything outside of that, like I said, unfortunately, we will not be in a position to consider. Do try next year though. Anonymous, social anthropology involves slightly longer fieldwork duration, which might demand living away from Delhi for longer times. How much fieldwork time would be allowed during the fellowship phase? Monica, if you would take this.
Sure. So, we do not have any such assigned time limits, and we have, never faced so far in our 4 cycles of the fellowship faced this issue. But if it is something, like an ethnographic research where you think you have to be on field for, say, months altogether, uh, then we'll have to check with our internally with our committee on how does it work. So I would say that mention it clearly in your application that this is how your fellowship will unfold if you're selected. This will not be used, this information will not be used against you in the review process. Don't consider it that way. I'm suggesting you to do that so that the reviewers know, and when it comes to the selection, the review committee can in fact reflect upon it and advise if this will be the right fellowship for you or not. But this is something which needs a consultation from the research, from our internal committees, their advice on it, that how can this particular question or requirement be handled, not something that we can answer now. But do
Thank you,
add that
Monica.
information into your
Sure.
application. Yeah, go ahead, Shreya.
Thank you. Preetha, is a list of references also part of the proposal? No, like we've clearly outlined, the 2 to 3 page proposal that you give us should have the title, the abstract, the methodology, and the outcome. Feel free to add your references outside of those 3 pages. Hainsha, is it necessary to have one of referees be my supervisor or some other professor from the department? I think Monica has in detail responded to this. It is also mentioned in the announcement. I have also spoken about it during the presentation. We encourage that people who are familiar with your academic, merit and are one of your referees because they can speak to your to the work and your experience. In case you have professional working experience, we are happy to also accept references from somebody within that space. But yes, we do encourage that people who are familiar with your academic experience and expertise are one of your referees. It also, like Monica mentioned, it also helps us understand your proposal better. Anonymous,
So
can you, sorry.
supervisors are perfect. So
Yeah.
supervisors are perfect. So definitely your supervisors should be one of your, in fact, if you don't add your supervisor, that'll be odd. So do add your PhD supervisors as one of your referees because they know you the best. They know your work the best. So definitely.
Can we apply if we are in the last semester of PhD or submitted, but Viva is yet to be done? I'm sorry, no, I think we have already addressed this question here. If your degree is within the timeline that we have suggested, you are welcome to apply. Anything outside of that, no. Another individual, is approval from the Harvard faculty required in advance? How many publication one should have to apply for this fellowship? I think I will take the first question, approval from Harvard faculty. I assume you mean for listing them as your mentors. No, you do not need an approval. That is a process that will take place. We will get into those details if and when one is selected. That is a separate process. At the moment, like we have already reiterated, we do not encourage you to get in touch with faculty that you are interested in listing as your mentors. We do encourage that you do research on them thoroughly, but we do not encourage that you speak to them about, just get in touch with them about this. How many publications one should have to apply for this fellowship? Maybe we can ask the fellows to respond to this.
Yeah, and we partly answered this question. I don't know if you want to repeat what you also said.
This question has already been answered once, like the number will not matter. What will matter is the relevance of the paper with your proposal and also with your PhD work. And also Arun has mentioned how the writing sample that you will send, that will matter more. So instead of focusing the number, just focus on the relevance and the quality. Like you can have 10 papers and that are not relevant to your work, so they will not hold any value for you or for your research proposal. So try to be more relevant.
Yeah, I agree with what Nobonita said. Nothing to add.
Thank you both. Can a current faculty in University of Delhi apply? Are we required to be present in Delhi office daily? Do we need to apply for study leave from our institution? I think I'll take part of this and maybe I'll request Monica to step in for a bit. I think we've addressed the bit about being in office daily. We expect that you're here at least thrice a week. You're welcome to be here the entire week if that's what you prefer. This is a full-time fellowship, and yes, if you have any other engagements, professional engagements or academic engagements that you are a part of right now, I think it is a given that you will have to either move from that particular engagement and take up this fellowship because it is a full-time fellowship at least for 1 year. Can a current faculty in University of Delhi apply, Monica?
Sure, I'll answer that question. So you can apply if you're a faculty, but then yes, this ties in with your last question, which is that you will have to take a leave from your institute. We have had in the past a faculty who applied, who was selected, and she took leave for 1 year from her engagements at her host institution, at her employer institution, and she stayed all through with us, and then she went back into her position. So this is something that you will have to work with your university and take a leave from them if you are selected, because you won't be able to, you have to dedicate yourself solely to the fellowship if you are selected into it.
Great. Somebody wants to know, is it okay if the sample paper is longer than 10 pages? Do you stop reviewing the candidate after the 10th page? No, we encourage that it is a minimum of 10 pages. You're welcome to, submit anything that is more than that, but please also be mindful that people are going to be reading through your application. So if it's, do not try not to submit anything that is 50, 60 pages. 10, 20, I think is is sufficient, and no, we will not stop reviewing if you submit 12 pages instead of 10. So that's not an issue. I would like to know, as a literature scholar, how many literary works should be part of the proposal? I think Nobonita has addressed this. I think she's mentioned very clearly that the works should have relevance to whatever project you are proposing, and you can determine the number of works that you need to do the proposal accordingly. Okay. Does the current political situation in the US affect this fellowship? Monica, do you want to take?
Sure. I was smiling when I read the question. Not at all. As we've mentioned, I think we've been speaking about it. This fellowship is based in India, so you don't require any visas for it. You are an Indian citizen. You will be a part of the India office. You're only remotely mentored by a Harvard faculty. So there is no such effect that we will have on this fellowship pertinent to the current situations underway in the US.
Are the application processes similar for Raghunathan Fellowship and the Mittal Institute Fellowship? Monica?
Yeah, sure. They're actually very different. So even the requirements, the some eligibility criteria, they're different. So not at all. There's an altogether different application that you fill once the Raghunathan or Bajaj fellowships open up. So there's no this is primarily the India-based fellowships. Raghunathan is US campus-based. Bajaj is campus-based. Those two are also slightly different. So no, the process is absolutely different. So if you're interested in Raghunathan, then Raghunathan Fellowship, then once those programs are announced, you apply for that fellowship. But the processes are completely different.
Parul wants to know if the writing sample needs to be published work. Not really, Parul, but if you do have a publication to your credit, please feel free to include it. But yeah, like we mentioned, it can be a variety of things. But what we need to see is are your writing skills. Does thesis defended and having a provisional certificate considered? Not really, no. We would encourage you to apply when you have your degree available, a scan copy formally. Abir Mazumdar wants to know if how projects in the social science domain are related to this idea of it being publicly beneficial to the nation. I think I will let Arun and Nobonita take this first, and Monica can add on to it. Whoever wants to go first between the two.
Arun, you want to go first?
Abir, so they are absolutely relevant or beneficial to the nation in the sense that you cannot dissect the social issues from uh, the surrounding economic or political or ecological issues. So I just want to give you an example. Suppose we are in the kind of condition where we every day read in the newspaper the articles about the water crisis. So when we are talking about water crisis, it's not only an ecological issue that we are addressing. What we are also addressing is why we require to work on it is because it also depends, our food production depends on it, our economy depends on it. So when we talk about a social issue, it is never separate from the surrounding socio-political issues. So obviously, when you will work on a project and you have this intention that you want to make a fruitful contribution towards it, it will definitely be beneficial to the nation in the broader sense.
Abhir, I will just add that the projects, the research, as being a researcher in the social sciences, we whatever the projects we choose, they are broadly linked to the foundational principle what the society believes in. knowingly or unknowingly, we do pursue and try to test, question, and try to understand what those principles actually are in our day-to-day life. There are social, political, economic intersection between what are happening. So there is a deep relevance to what the research which we are doing, because they are related to those foundational principles which we as a society we believe in. Yeah. So I do say that most of the research, as being a researcher in social science, our research is deeply involved in how it benefits the nation and also the society, the people we live in. Yeah. Thank you.
Monica,
I
do you want to
actually,
add something?
yeah, I don't think I have a lot to add. Nobinita and Arun have already spoken so wisely and, so impactfully about how you should consider your research to relate to, to be of public benefit. But deeply reflect, of like every moment I think we live, we should think and reflect on how it is being beneficial to the people around us, to systems around us, to the nation in which we live. Of course, we also think about the larger world. Uh, so I think if you have deeply reflected that if your research has, that benefit, then you're there. But I don't think I have much more to add to what already Nobinita and Arun have said.
Thank you all. I'm also conscious of the time. So I think we just have 7 or 8 minutes left. So we're just going to, and we've also, I think, reached the end of our list of questions. So we'll quickly take them before before Monica closes with her remarks. Abhishek, thank you, Abhishek. I hope you were able to address your question. I'd like to ask Nobonita how many literary works should be part of the proposal. I think that has already been addressed. The number of works should be relevant to whatever it is that you are proposing. There is no definite fixed number that we are encouraging or recommending. Can we have some projects or grants, not fellowships, going on while we are a full-time scholar here? Monica, do you want to take that?
I think I'll let Arun, talk about it because Arun had, but Arun, do you prefer answering the question or do you want me to do that? Up to you.
Which one?
So
Okay,
they
I
want to
can
know,
begin and
Arun,
then
if while you're a fellow here, can you have parallel projects or grants which are not fellowships also continuing in along with the fellowship, this fellowship? That's what they want.
I believe that this, while being part of this fellowship, the time and the most of the time we should dedicate ourselves within this time period, since we will be constantly in touch with the mentor, and we should utilize that time for this particularly. I believe if we do something parallel, it may impact your research, how effectively you can balance both of them. So I don't think it will be really a good decision to do both of them. But I leave to Monica to say add something else to it.
sure. Nobinita, do you have any other insights you want to add?
So for project, if you want to take any book project that you want to work on, that you can take. Like you want to publish your monograph as part of your PhD work, that you can take. But I would suggest not to like collaborate this work with any other thing because the time span is very limited and you should use it in a maximum benefit for this project only.
Sure. Thank you, Nobinita. Thank you, Arun. I think I want to, just add and bring together both the comments that Arun and Nobinita have shared. That think of things as both holistic and complementary. Um, Complementary as in like what Nobinita was saying, like, and also Arun, mentioned that everything that you're doing is bringing together your research expertise, whether it's this fellowship or your existing new or continuing projects that you were working on. We do agree that you cannot leave aside any continuing grants that you may have, but if they are too big and they take up whole of your fellowship or even a large chunk of your fellowship work, then that makes it little difficult. But that doesn't mean that you leave everything aside. If it's something that you can, work for 30-40% of your time, that's contributing and bringing together, in fact, the new pieces that you're trying to build as part of your fellowship, or you are adding a new layer to those projects, then absolutely yes. You are not expected to leave aside all your projects, grants, proposals that you're working on when you come. In fact, you come in with certain things with you, and then you build upon it. So think of it in that manner, I would say, but don't bring in something which is that substantial that doesn't leave a scope for a larger project that you can do with your mentor. But think of it also in terms of how your mentor at Harvard can, in fact, maybe add or contribute to an existing something that you're doing, giving you more pieces of advice, giving a new layer to it, a new direction to it, and making it, more magnanimous, more enriching. So think of it that perspective, I would suggest, but not in silos. So answer is both no and yes. I think you all got the gist that it has to be holistic, but also complementary.
All right. I think we're almost through. Just last two questions. Sharing later, you were awarded a degree in October 2020. Are you eligible for postdoc fellowship 2026? Yes, I think our criteria is between March 1, 2020 till March 31st, 2025. So if you received your degree, please do apply. Any option for budget accommodation near our office? Saraswata, I think this is a subjective question. How budget accommodation, Delhi is a big city. There are various places. What kind of accommodation, what your budget is, all of that can be discussed at a later stage. While we do not as policy, we don't really have we don't really recommend any places, but we are happy to maybe put you in touch with people who've past, some of our past fellows who've been our current fellows. Both of them are not from the city and have found their respective accommodation. So those conversations, I think, can happen then. Last question: will we have similar webinars for other fellowships? Monica, this is.
I think just wait and watch. Those fellowships are run through our Cambridge. Cambridge is a part of Boston where Harvard is, through our Cambridge office. They do facilitate some form of communication between prospective applicants and the review and the managing committee there. So wait for the announcement of the fellowship first, and then wait for the announcement if they are going ahead with any kind of webinars. I have to rush for another meeting, so I'll quickly, I think, wrap up. I just wanted to say a big thanks to everybody that you see or don't see on the screen. Shreya, Arun, Nobonita, Angarika. I know Angarika has been sitting very quietly behind, but managing the whole of the webinar chat. If you followed it with so many messages, so many links for all of you, that I hope it didn't overwhelm you, but those were also useful. Thank you so much, Angarika. I was tracking it all, and those were all wonderful. And she was also responding to some questions in the background. But thank you so much, especially Arun and Nobonita, for sharing your experiences. We are so grateful that you joined us a few months ago as fellows, and now for contributing by sharing your expertise, acumen, knowledge, experience with the prospective applicants. And Shreya, big thanks for moderating the whole session, sharing with all the applicants, prospective applicants, the background and basic information, and then moderating the Q&A. I do look forward to hopefully all of your applications, all the attendees. As I've shared earlier, it's a very enriching experience. You've heard from Arun, you've heard from Nobonita, how enriching the whole fellowship experience is. So do consider applying, but be careful. Keep all these wise, information, the wisdom that we've shared with you this evening related to different parts of your application. Keep those in mind as you build upon your own applications, your research proposals, identify your referees, identify your writing samples, But if you have any further questions, we're very happy to answer them. Reach out. You have our email IDs, the institute email IDs. I'll let Nobonita and Arun decide if they want. If you want have a specific question for any of the fellows, you can send us an email to our generic office email account, and from there we can distill the information to either of them for whomever you have a question and take it from there. But thanks again. It was a wonderful 1.5 hours spent with everybody here. And I look forward, like I said, to interacting with some of you, maybe hopefully during the interview process. I'll wish and pray that many of you reach that stage, but do work on your applications, good ones. And then we look forward to both your applications and seeing you all as hopefully fellows like we see Arun and Nobonita today. Have a great evening and enjoy yourself. I don't know if Shreya, you had anything to say to the attendees? No?
No,
Okay,
I think just
perfect.
thank you
All right,
to,
thanks again. Sure.
sorry, Monica,
Yes,
just
go ahead,
want to say
please.
thank you.
No,
Thank you to,
please go
of
ahead.
course, Monica, Nobonita, Arun for taking our time and doing this. Angarika, of course, for being my support all the way. Everyone who joined us, I hope we were able to address your questions. Angarika has been very proactive in telling you how active we are on social media. Please do follow. You'll know more about what we do and how we do things. Any questions related to the fellowship, please shoot them. We'll make sure we answer, and we look forward to seeing your applications. Thank you and have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Take care.